Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to do a little walk through our garden. We just got back from our vacation yesterday, and I was so excited to get out in the garden. And I was like, you know what, let me just grab my camera and check in with you guys, talk about our trip a little bit, take a look at the garden, see what it looks like. We were gone for a little over 2 weeks, so that is quite a bit of time to be gone from your garden, in my opinion. And of course, when we come back, things look drastically different than how we left it. And I don't know, I just thought it'd be fun to walk around with you guys again, just catch up on our trip, some of the highs and the lows. And obviously we came back super sick. We got sick the last, was it the last day of our trip or like the second to last day of our trip?
Last 2-3 days.
Yeah. And so we don't sound too great, but we feel better than we probably sound and look. So anyways, we're going to start out in the front and then we will make our way to the back. So first things first, the first thing I want to get done now that we're back is change out our entryway because it's still very much fall and it doesn't feel like Christmas when you pull into our driveway. So I definitely want to get that out. I'm going to try really hard just to like save up all my energy and get that done this weekend as best as I can. A lot has changed in terms of color because when we left, there was still quite a bit of leaves hanging onto the trees. And then we had our frost, gosh, I think it was like about a week ago. So we were definitely in Brazil for that. And so we had the frost and I was kind of keeping an eye on it through our security cameras. And every day I would like check in, scrub through, see how things looked. And then boom, everything just kind of dried up and fell. So it was a little bit sad because there's still some beautiful color going on, but you can see things like our Shishigashira maple lost its leaves. Our smoke bush is still hanging on to a little bit of color, but it's also just very crunchy and look at that, it's just falling right off.
I haven't noticed that the colors didn't really happen all at once this year.
Yeah, everything was staggered perfectly. And I want to say that that's like, we planned it that way, but we did it.
This was Mother Nature.
This was Mother Nature for sure. Everything just, like Sergey said, it staggered perfectly. We had so many reds. The Shishigashira was like taking so long to put on color, and then it finally did. And then it was like this burnt orange. I don't think I have a picture of this one, but I do have a picture of the one in the back that that I took before we left. So not too much has changed. Obviously, some of the other things have died back, like our peonies. Our dahlias up here still need to be dug up, so we'll do that. We planted all of the bulbs that we wanted up here. Not too much going on over here in this bed. And then our island of trees, you can see things are starting to die back as well. Our hydrangeas lost its colors. And I might leave these up a little bit just because it does, even though they're spent, they do kind of have kind of a structural interest with these little dried up blooms. I say the branching does look awful. Thank you for calling that out. I will be pruning this back. He's like the worst, like he's my most honest critic, Sergey is. So we will come in and I have to prune this up because I didn't prune it last year and it kind of got wild. But all of these like skinny little branches, I will just cut them right out, kind of be ruthless with it this year so we can get better branching next year. And these are little lime hydrangeas up here. Our emperor maple finally lost its leaves, but it also held on to quite a bit of color for a really long time, and I was pleasantly surprised and happy at how it did. Our 3 dogwoods up here that we planted together are doing good, and I'm so happy and pleased that they are because we did have quite a bit of wind come through, but nonetheless they did fine. And this is also where we planted a lot of bulbs. Remember we did a video probably a couple weeks ago. We planted all of the bulbs, yeah. So hopefully the squirrels didn't dig too many up. I did find a couple when we got home yesterday. Right when I got out of the car, I was like, oh, they got to it. So hopefully there's not too many that are dug up by our little critters. This bed over here looks drastically different as well. This is where we have all of our hostas. We had a lot of annuals in here and a lot of dahlias. So you can see how important flowers are and perennials are to a garden because look at how everything has died back, and now it's just bare. And it's funny because Sergey loves this look. Like, he loves just a simple, plain garden, just with trees and rocks, right? This is like your jam right here. You love this so much. And to me, it's like, I love it and I appreciate it because it's the season. But you know, me, I like color and I like flowers. So I do appreciate the season of calm and rest, but I'm also ready
That's
to
a
get to
great
my
way to
sketchbook.
put it.
Yeah,
You can't work all year.
you can't work. I mean, but gardeners never stop. If you think about it, like, what have I been doing?
You have to give the garden a rest.
You have to give the garden a rest, but my mind is always going because, you know, all I've been doing lately is just like sitting there sketching and coming up with ideas of what we want out of our garden next year. So the physical work kind of slows down, but mentally you're always on and on and on. Speaking of season of rest, that makes me think about our trip and kind of the things that I was thinking that I wanted to talk to you guys about and share, just like how I was feeling when I was down there. And as you know, I was born in Brazil and I came here when I was very young. And one of you had asked, would I ever go back? Would I ever consider moving back? And as much as I love going back, I love seeing my family down there. I love just visiting new places in Brazil because it's such a beautiful country and the people are so warm and beautiful and loving. But there's not a bone in my body that would ever consider leaving the US. I mean, it took us so long to become citizens of this country, and I'm so proud that I am, and I get to say that now. And I just don't ever see myself leaving. I love to travel. My list of countries that I want to visit is pages long. I love discovering new cultures and people and places and gardens, and we're going to be doing a lot of that next year. But at the end of the day, there's nothing like coming home, and especially here in the Pacific Northwest. I just love the space so much. So I was definitely homesick. And when we were talking about season of rest, when you go on vacation, you expect to rest, but we did not get any rest. We were just go, 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 go from the get-go. And you probably can relate to that when you guys visit your family on vacation. It's just so much visiting family and friends and going to do this and that. And it was a lot of fun. Anyway, so as much fun as it was definitely, I was definitely excited to be back. Like by day 10, I was like, all right, I'm ready. I want to go home. I miss my home. I miss my garden. I miss my routine. And there's just so many things, right, we're talking about in Brazil that's so inconvenient that we don't have to deal with here in the US. Like the banks are awful. It's like a whole process to get anything done at the bank. And when something's wrong here, you can just get it done quickly. But there it was just like, we were so out of our routine. We were trying, like, quick story. We were trying to get iced coffee the whole entire trip. We went to every coffee shop. We even found a Starbucks. And we were asking for an iced coffee because it was 90 degrees. And they just looked at us like, what? And there was a point where, like, a lot of places say, oh, yes, we do have it. But it's like a blended milkshake. And we're like, no, just like an Americano with ice.
But see,
and that's it.
In America, you have a shake that is simple.
Yeah.
There you have cookies and
Yeah.
cream and
Yeah.
Nutella and honey and sprinkles.
Yeah.
And
It was like a dessert.
it was
Yeah.
like a float sundae.
And I didn't want to.
everything.
I didn't want to drink a dessert. I just wanted like an iced coffee. I mean, don't get me
For
wrong.
such a hot country.
I
you
know.
expect
I know. Anyway, anyways, that was just really funny. Speaking of hydrangeas, we did get to plant some hydrangeas for my grandma. That was part of her birthday, and her 90th birthday gift was just adding some more plants to her garden, which we did a video on the other day, and that was a lot of fun. We share such a love for gardening together, and being able to be there for her 90th birthday was so special. And on that same day, we also got to baptize my nephew Mateo, who you guys met in a couple of videos. So that was just like kind of the highlight of my trip, was just seeing that come together. And then of course my grandma being excited for her new plants. It was just a lot of fun, and she and I get to FaceTime, so I'm constantly showing her the garden, and I wish she could be here to see it in person, but you know, traveling at that age is just not practical. Anyways, over here was another beautiful tree that put on so much color, and then everything just fell. This is our Acer palmatum, our green leaf maple. Every morning we would get up and we would scroll through our security camera feed and just look at how this changed color. And it was so magnificent. But if I step back, you can still see how beautiful the branching is. And you guys know I'm OCD and I like a tidy garden, but even seeing this here with all of the leaves fallen, I don't mind it. I don't know why. It's not like me, but I actually love just how, like, I know they are. Do you see, like, I don't know. I just
see the different colors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But what beautiful branching, especially when it's backed up by some of our evergreens. Again, how important evergreens are to our garden, because when everything else is asleep, they're still here saving the day, looking beautiful as ever. So let's go to the back, and I haven't been out to the back yet. So I'm excited to see how it looks. We're going to do that together and just see what the state of our backyard looks like. All right, in the back, not a lot has changed. We still have a bunch of plants that need to go on the ground. We never moved the wood. We never got around to that, but hopefully we can get that taken care of because I don't want them to get too wet over winter time. I did pick up these 2 big containers before we left, so I'm excited to plant a couple of trees in those. That will be a fun little spring project. Now, if we step over here, you can see that our trees have lost all of their leaves back here, pretty much all of our deciduous ones. This was our persimmon tree that we lost all of our persimmons to me because I harvested them right before we left, and we have a big bowl of them inside that we've been enjoying. And I feel good that I picked them because they started to ripen, but I was afraid to leave them on because we have a raccoon that comes by every winter, and I'll leave a couple of things on for him, but he can get kind of cheeky and he will pick all of the fruit off, which
not only that, but he'll eat a little here, a little
he's
there.
wasteful.
Yeah.
That's my problem with him. I call him Henry the raccoon. And like, he would do this to our figs all the time. He'll take a bite and then he'll drop it, and then he'll go for another and drop it. And I'm like, just finish one and you might not be as hungry as you think. So anyways, I got the persimmons before he did. Our witch hazel is still holding on to its leaves. Obviously, like, they're all crunchy and dead, but it just hangs on to the leaves for the longest time until it starts getting ready to push new ones. But a ton of little buds on it, and I'm excited for you guys to see these blooming because it has the prettiest little yellow flowers. Our emperor maple back here is so beautiful. I love the branching of this tree so much. You can see the branching starts pretty low here, and I love when they fork off like this at the base just because it creates so much more interest all the way up. I did not get to clean this before we left, but it's okay because this morning when I looked out the window before we decided to come out here, I saw a flock of birds in here. So I think they're eating the seeds of our zinnias, and there's quite a bit of things for them. So I don't know if they like to eat these or what. I'm assuming that's what they're doing because there's just a ton of them in here. So they've been enjoying this space. And then our dahlias also need to be dug up. I'm so sad I wasn't here for the frost because we did have quite a bit of blooms left on them before we left. And it would have been nice to take pictures of them. So I'm bummed that it happened while we were gone. But now that they're finally gone, I don't feel bad about getting them all dug up. I was trying to do it before we left, but our schedules got so chaotic before the trip that we just didn't have the time. Our coral bark maple here is looking so beautiful. Remember I mentioned that these typically get redder the more sun it gets, and you can see how beautiful it's looking right now. Before we left, this didn't have this much color, and if you go back to some of our videos, you can see that it was just kind of brown and didn't have too much of this coral color that it's supposed to take on. But now
I was worried about that.
Yeah, were you worried?
Yeah,
I could tell.
I'm like, I think that was a myth that they
Yeah.
told us, but
Yeah. No, but look at how beautiful it looks. And if you stand
But I think you need that really cold temperature
yeah.
to activate the
Yeah,
color.
I don't know what it is. If you guys
Beautiful.
know, yeah, if there are any maple experts on here, and if you guys know about the color transition of these maples, let me know down below in the comment sections, because I do think it's fascinating and it's not something I've read up on. But I did, again, see it this morning from our window, like right at sunrise. And I was like, oh, she's glowing. So I'm pretty excited about how beautiful this maple looks. Over here, we also have some annuals that have died back that I just need to come and pull out. Like some of our cosmos. These will be easy to just kind of tug on like that and just pull these out. So I will do that once I feel a little bit better. I don't want to be out here too much in the cold. Our Vanderwolf looks adorable back here. You guys, we planted this together before we left, and it looks beautiful. If I step back, I think that was the perfect choice for this corner. If we walk over, you can see our lollipop crabapple is just full of little fruit. And I'm surprised the birds haven't come off or have eaten them all off yet, because by this time they eat it all. So yeah. So I don't know if they're just eating something else or they're not attracted to this right now, but they're still here. Either way, if they don't, it still looks really beautiful. And then we planted all of these echinaceas together. In fact, all of the echinaceas that we have spread around, you guys and I planted that together. Those are doing well. We also have 2 new roses that we planted probably about a month and a half ago. Those are doing good. They're getting nice and established. These are all of the other annuals that I want to come in and clean out. Over here we have our other Shishigashira lion's head maple.
Oh, small.
It looks so small, but do you remember how beautiful it was this summer? Like, it was full. It looked big.
It looked big.
It did. But I will pop up a picture before we left how beautiful this tree looked. I mean, it was glowing yellow. It was so pretty, like a burnt orange. Yeah. There were days where we were like, whoa, when the sun hit it just right, like that golden sun. Oh my gosh. It was so beautiful. Right over here around the deck is also where we planted all of our little lime hydrangeas. And we did that pretty early on together. And I love the way this looks and feels. We had this whole deck kind of redone right before Janie came to our garden, Janie and Kate. And I remember that night, like the night before they were arriving, we were in the middle of doing all these projects, and we were like, well, they're gardeners, they get it, they're not gonna mind. But we did get these planted shortly after that, and I think they look beautiful. I know they've died back, but this still looks like such a beautiful structure over here. So I am in no hurry to get these pruned up, but I will cut them all the way back late winter time. And then, of course, starting to think about what we want to plant with them. I definitely want to come in with probably some grasses. We've talked about some ideas, you and I, about what would be good companion plants with these, but I think some grasses over here would look really, really beautiful. And not much else has changed since we left. I mean, obviously coming back after 2 weeks was a little bit hard because we definitely wanted to be here during that transition when we got our first hard frost. But either way, I'm happy that it's not too chaotic, because things can get out of control so quickly, as you guys know, in our gardens. But I do think it was a good time of year for us to be away and not miss too much. So anyways, I think that will wrap up today's little catch up. I know we've been gone for a while, but I'm happy to be back and start doing more videos with you guys regularly in my own garden. I definitely want to get the front ready for Christmas time, because that is my favorite holiday. And I definitely love coming home to a grand entrance decorated or decked out for Christmas time. So I'm excited to get rid of the pumpkins. Some of them we will keep and we will grill and roast. And then all of the other ones will go to my friend and maybe my neighbor, because her parents have, I think they have goats, or they have something, some farm animal, and they ate them. Well, we gave them a bunch last year, and we'll see if they want them again this year. So they will not go to waste, which always makes me so happy that not only do these pumpkins serve as decorations, but we also eat some of them, and then the rest go to other farm animals. I honestly thought when we grabbed our camera, I was gonna come back here and be like, oh my gosh, but it really wasn't that bad. I told Serg, I'm like, let's get ready, let's go outside and film together. I don't want to go outside yet. I just want to see how it looks, and it will be a reaction video with you guys. But it's not. It's kind of like anticlimactic. It's not like, oh my gosh.
Sometimes that is good.
Yeah, sometimes it is good because I was worried. Like when I was getting ready to come home, I was like, okay, what does the garden look like? What is it looking like? But it's actually pretty calm.
How much money do we need to spend now to fix the problem?
I did think about that. Did something break while we were gone? But
Home ownership.
yeah, exactly. Adult life, right? But anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. I cannot wait to go inside and drink some hot tea because my throat is starting to get a little bit scratchy. But I'm also so happy to be back with you guys. Again, filming in our garden, getting ready to decorate on the front. That is going to be fun. And just being back home is just so nice. So anyways, thank you guys again so much for hanging out with me today in my garden, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.